You are now listening to Fight Life Unfiltered. Corey Thompson.
Corey
I
Thompson.
actually go back Friday. I'm gonna start this side.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it gonna be like that that's gonna be like realism?
Yes. Well, so he's Corey. Shout out Corey. I'm trying to get him on the podcast
That'd be
actually to
sick.
talk.
Just to totally
He
hear more
um
yours.
he specializes in Japanese traditional, but he
Yeah.
does everything. Like,
Okay.
so I'm unsure. We're actually gonna
Is he a Pittsburgh
Friday.
guy?
Butler.
Butler, okay.
Yeah, he did a bunch of time up in Erie, working at somebody else's shop,
That's
like
sick.
learning.
Apprenticeship type.
Yep. And then I think 2 years ago he opened up his place in Butler called Lost Dog Tattoo.
That's awesome.
And it's funny, dude. I knew that I wanted to do something, and I was always obsessed with Japanese traditional,
Uh-huh.
and was like, shit, like just couldn't find anything. I actually, a friend of mine who's out in LA had him on. Josh, who's been on the podcast. He's friends with Chris Nunez, one of the former judges of Ink Master.
Oh
And
shit.
Nunez is a Miami guy and big on Japanese traditional. That's kind of like his thing. And so I was trying to like facilitate. I reached out to Nunez and was going to fly down to Miami. But then I started thinking about it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to pay a ridiculous amount of money
Yeah.
to a guy who's a celebrity, and no, shade on Nunez, but like probably isn't tattooing as much as Corey. He's doing a lot more
Yeah.
like appearances and stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. And he's like, I reserve the ability to like reschedule within 2 weeks. I'm like, if I'm booking a flight, like how quick can I get this done? I'm gonna be jumping around. I don't think I'd even have half of what's done. So I saw a guy randomly in and around Cranberry, and I'm like, who does your tattoos? And he's like, Corey Thompson. I looked him up and I'm like, that's my guy. So I went up
That's
there,
sick.
we chatted, and I was like, dude, this is my thought, my idea. And I've had some experiences like the guy that did my tattoo work back in my hometown, old school biker,
Yeah.
good, but just like I remember being like a teenager, early 20s, and just being in there, like not wanting to talk, like not want like things that he designed. I was probably like, not
Yeah.
sure I
Yeah.
want that, but like, yeah, sure, dude, fuck tattoo me, you know.
Yeah.
But Corey's he's a badass dude. The guy's
Yeah. You like
so
chop it, it's
talented.
like a collaboration.
Yeah, I mean, we're
Yeah.
over
That's how it should
20
be.
over 20 hours between my arm and my chest. Like, you got to have
Yeah.
somebody that you enjoy. And I just told him, listen, like, this is what I want. We looked at some concepts. I'm like, that tiger you drew, I really love that. But then he designed it all from scratch, drew it up, and I just kind of was like, this is the idea. You're the artist. I don't want to get in the way. And so like
Yeah,
I'm
that's the way
stoked.
to do it. You got to trust him though, but he clearly knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
So
no, the
I
color
love the
kit
color. I love the
fantastic.
color Japanese. Japanese isn't really anything I would get, but I love the color and the pop of it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I actually got tattooed like 2 days ago. I
Did
got
you?
to
Is
just
that
get
the arm? I
yeah,
was gonna say it looked a
yeah. I
little
had the
red.
outline from this dude is Caesar tattoos in Columbus. I drove to Columbus.
Yeah.
He kind of got like this, and we're gonna end up connecting it all together. I'm excited. It's
How'd your
like,
chest feel? I know you have the wolf
dude,
there.
terrible.
Fucking hurts, right?
I was talking to my best friend on the way here, Cam Jenkins, and he was like, dude, I was like, dude, I think the fatty parts of your body hurt more for tattoos. Which is weird because they say it's supposed to be the other way.
Yeah.
My chest, terrible, terrible. This
Horrible,
arm,
right?
fine,
Yeah.
completely
I
fine.
mean, there's
And
some
I guess skinny
spots.
arms.
There were some spots like the inside part of my
Yeah, mine's
elbow.
like here and
That
up.
fucking that was painful. And he packed the color like right there where
That would
you'd get your
hurt.
blood drawn. And like the inside,
I bet that
not
hurts.
fun. I have my ribs done, not fun. Like this flower on the bone, fine. Like my elbow,
Yeah.
that was painful, but like,
My tricep hurt a little bit, like the tricep area when he started touching. But I, for the
yeah,
most part, he's got that. We're gonna connect these two, which is really cool. I'm looking forward to it. It's tattoos that like I've wanted since I was a kid,
yeah,
and it's cool. I was telling him, I was like, dude, it's crazy seeing it on my body.
isn't it? When you see
And
something come to life,
I was like, this is nuts.
it's addicting too.
Yeah, it's super addictive. But I'm happy because I had like an unfinished one. I went out to go do it after my last fight. Had it booked, everything. He like got the outline done. I was gonna come back like 2 weeks later. Dude's dad passed. I made the trip. I'm there, and he's like, "Hey, my pop's passed away." And I was like, "Fuck, you gotta reschedule." I was like,
Yeah.
completely reasonable thing. And we rescheduled for right after this fight. And he was tattooing me for like 7 hours. His deep, like the detail, the fine stuff. Like
Yeah.
it's worth it for me,
Oh, absolutely. No, you can't. That's my
especially
brother.
realism, especially realism, like
Yeah.
realism, the details,
It takes a
like
lot of,
wolves and stuff, you know what I mean? So it's the
yeah.
fur and all that stuff. So
What's the significance for you?
it's the wolf here, and the one howling. It's me and my two brothers.
Oh, okay.
And then my grandmother she used to do like the Bob Ross painting. She loved doing them.
Dude, you're a Bob Ross fan?
I'm a little bit. Yeah, my grandmother, she used to sit, and I was super close with her. She used to like sit down and do them for hours. And it's like a little landscape of mountains and stuff, so that's
Hmm.
tied in. I'm gonna get like blue eyes filled in.
So just a little pop of
Yeah.
color?
A little pop of color.
Yeah.
It's gonna what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get my nephews. He has these bright blue eyes. Get like a picture of that and then like
Hmm.
tie it all together. I want this to be like a whole family piece,
Hmm.
and dedicate and like, parents' birthdays and
Yep.
stuff like that. But I love, dude, I could talk about tattoos for hours.
Yeah. No,
Hours.
this is this will be all family. Like this
Yeah.
is a tribute to my grandfather, and it's black and gray with just a red cardinal,
Yeah,
like
I
kind of
love
guardian
that.
angel
Yeah.
cardinal. So I'm like, man, what do I do? How do I tie this in? And how do I make it so that it doesn't like contrast too much with this? Because this
Hmm.
is really like the snake and the tiger is it's like that battle, right? Like that
Yeah.
we all, whether it's good versus evil, right
Yeah.
versus
Yin
wrong.
and yang type thing.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of like it reminds me every day of like, okay, you gotta fight today. And it's yeah, I was just obsessed with tattoos my whole life.
I've been obsessed with tattoos my entire life too, and it's cool to like little reminders. Like I think a tattoo sometimes is like a little reminder, like they're good. You know what I mean? Like when I got this things begin to happen tattoo, it was I got it right after my pro debut, and I
Mhm.
was like it was like it to me meant like manifestation. It's something I can always look at. It's on my right arm. You can
Yep,
always look at it, and it's like, dude, you just keep visualizing things are gonna happen. And it's like a
absolutely.
good little reminder to keep yourself
It's
accountable.
funny how much they've changed over time. Like people, the stigma around
Oh yeah.
tattoos, like it was even, I mean, shit, I'll be 38 here in January. I'm getting old, Lucas. Um, my mom went and signed the papers when I was 16 to go down and
Dude.
get one on my back. It's probably the only tattoo. I don't regret it because it was like there's still some significance to it that like it was my first tattoo, but it's some tribal bird, you know. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I actually think we're gonna cover it up and do something like pretty cool across the top of my back.
Yeah, yeah.
But like tattoos were like not a thing, right? It was like you were kind of a vagrant, a little bit of a you couldn't show up and have like a great job. Now people, I was just at the Y, this
Dude,
dude
yeah.
gets dressed in the locker room in like a business attire, but he was in the sauna and swimming in the pool with me early in like full bodysuit, tribal, like black tribal designs from neck, both arms, both legs. I'm
Dude, if
sure.
I see somebody with good tattoos, the first thing I'm like, that dude's got money.
Well,
That's it. That's the first thing I'm like, he's all
yeah, because
right.
it ain't cheap, that's for
Dude,
sure.
tattoos aren't cheap. Good tattoos aren't
Yeah.
cheap. And yeah, that's the first thing I think. I'm like, dude's got
Well,
money.
I heard something really interesting, and it's like I can't unthink it or unhear it now, I guess. It was like, hey, if I'm interviewing somebody, it used to be like, oh, you have tattoos. Oh, like now, if I see somebody with tattoos, I'm like, okay, you have patience because you can't, it takes time. You have to be able to be very like convicted in something. You can't be wishy-washy. So like all the traits that you'd want in somebody to be
Yeah.
successful at a job or something is like, wow, you have the patience, you're convicted in things, you can withstand pain, you can
Yeah.
commit to something. You know, it's like all these things.
Yeah.
It's like actually it says something about somebody as opposed to
And you
people
can
who are
own it too.
indecisive. Yeah.
You can own it too. Like people that just like walk around with tattoos and you're like,
Yeah.
a lot of people like there is still a stigma for some people and you walk
Hmm.
around with tattoo. and you're like, I don't care what you think about me. I have a
Yeah.
tattoo on my
Oh
arm.
yeah.
And
No,
like,
the
I'm
stigma
covered.
that
I
you
don't
get
care.
now, I'm like, oh, thank you for identifying yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. And like if I was interviewing somebody for a job, it's a talking piece.
100%.
100%. I'd be like, yeah, I like your Japanese tradition. What was the meaning behind that, right?
Hmm.
You automatically can connect with somebody
Yeah. You
over
you can tell a
tattoos.
lot
People
about
love
somebody.
talking about their tattoos too, because a lot of times it's like you just see it all the time,
Yeah.
right? But you get to talk about it, like
And
the
now I want to talk
story
with
behind
Ramirez
it.
about his are freaking
Josh
badass,
Ramirez has
dude.
the best tattoos in MMA, bro. It's crazy. I've known that dude for like since we were 18, and he had that Last Supper on his arm,
Yeah.
and I was like, dude, that's crazy. I want to get with his artist, maybe finish my arm, because dude, he's crazy
Yeah, no, he's
good.
got some really badass thing.
Dude, I'll
It
find
fits him.
stuff.
It fits him
I'll
too.
find stuff on like I'll just like look at his leg and I'm like, I didn't know that was there. Like literally, like there's like dates in between. Like hit the detail is insane.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, his tattoo artist is in New Orleans.
So he goes back down there. Has it been a while
He
since
hasn't he
he's
hasn't probably got a tattoo in a while. He's addicted, bro. Because I sent him mine. He was like, dude, I bet that feels so good. Like he's addicted to
it is
tattoos. He
addicting, right?
loves it. He loves it.
Although
But
I will say before I went in to do my chest, I was like, Corey, is there something wrong with me that I've been really looking forward to coming up here as like a stress relief? And he's like, no, dude, like absolutely. That's so real. The endorphins, just the pain, like to me, like I enjoy that pain until I laid there and spent
yeah,
almost 5 hours with
the
my
chest
chest.
hurts,
And
bro.
it felt like somebody had a Zippo lighter on my nipple the whole
Dude,
time. I was
the
just like,
chest is
bro,
rough. The
like
chest
I
is
think I
hard.
regret saying that, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, for sure. We'll
Yeah.
have to, well, I can't wait to talk to him about it.
Yeah, dude, I want to get him on after he fights. My man's got to fight this
I was just
weekend,
talking to
son.
him. So first of all, like I posted about this and I was telling you, like we've talked. I know he's a good wrestler. I'm like, oh, he's still trying to get his pro debut. Like, this will be fine. I seen him up in Zealy. I'm like, yo, dude, what's up? I introduced myself. I was coming off the mats. I was probably did a half hour of open mat after an advanced class. And he's like, hey, do you want to get this round in? I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? He's like, yeah, just have fun. Dude, he brutalized me for 6 straight minutes. I was just
Yeah, bro.
no, and then I text you and you're like, yeah, dude, he's probably the best in the gym.
As far if you were like pound for pound,
Yeah.
like obviously, there's Warren and stuff like
Yes.
that. But like pound for pound age involved too, dude's 25. Right? Now he's been doing jiu-jitsu since 3, right? So he's like,
See, another of the story builds. I
yeah,
thought he was just a great wrestler who's starting
no, no,
kind of
no.
like Luke to like,
You can't be. He'll play with you. Like to the point where like Josh will like me and Josh will flow roll. And some people like you're like, oh, I could like his control is so good. And he like we'll just play. Like Josh is my favorite role. And like he doesn't sub me. He could at any point he wanted to.
hmm.
And like I don't like I'll throw stuff on him. Like we just go. You know what I mean? We're just literally playing like two like kids or like dogs play wrestling. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? We're just having fun with it. Though he's like my favorite roles in the gym. He's brown belt, couple stripes. I mean his jiu-jitsu is insane. He went to ADCC East Coast, I believe. Won his first match via armbar and then lost his second match by disqualification because he slammed out of guard. And we didn't know, like everybody was like, but like,
You'd think with
so I can pick
ADCC.
you up in a triangle, slam you, I can wrestle you on the hard floor, but in guard, I can't pick it. He didn't pick him up like super high. Picked him up, slammed him, dude, broke the dude's guard, went past. But yeah, he got DQ'd.
Oh, that's a bummer.
But dude, his jujitsu, I'm telling you right now,
I never felt anything like it.
he could compete at a very high level
And like we talked
in
about
just
Alex.
straight jujitsu.
I mean, Alex is some of the hardest. Like he's tall, outweighs me, obviously way more skill. So whenever I roll with Alex, he just fucking plays with me too.
Yeah,
And so like not taking anything away, like he's phenomenal. There was just some maybe it's styles, but like, dude, I've never felt
it's
the
control.
control, the pressure, everything
Yeah,
I did. It was just like an ankle, so slick and fast, and the way he
dude,
maneuvered around me, I was
it's
just like,
like his jujitsu. I'll just watch him roll. Just like, it's like a lot of the stuff I'll pick up is from just watching him. Like his guard passing is very, very good. His loose guard passing,
mm,
like standing, very good. He's very good off his back. He's got some sub threats. He's very, very, very good at jiu-jitsu, and it's all just fluid.
Mm,
It's just like no connection
that's
between
wild.
anything. It's just fluid movement between positions. His jiu-jitsu is really, really fun to watch. And it's really cool because he also has a very good wrestling background,
Hmm.
right? His wrestling background's insane. He was I believe a Fargo All-American in high school, four-time state champion, three-time state champion in Louisiana, one-time state champion in Iowa. He committed to some of the biggest schools in the country, I believe. At one point was Nebraska and Ohio State. Ended up at West Virginia with me and Luke Martin. Wrestled there for a year. Started as a true freshman in the Big 12. Was wrestling basically up the weight class. Was balling, right? He was doing all right for a 18-year-old kid wrestling at 174 that weighed like 165 ish maybe. And
Hmm.
then you know, life happened, things happened. He ended up at Fresno State, wrestled there for a year, shipped out to Iowa Central. Thing about Iowa Central had Colby Covington, John Jones, just MMA legends, right? So Josh is at Iowa Central at JUCO school, national qualifier, I think round of 12, blood round guy, and then ends up starting to fight
How did he end up here?
me. He uh he went to State College. He was training with Bo Nickel at
Okay.
State College. He was 5-0 as an AMI. He was about to fight this kid that nobody would fight. Chael Sonnen was talking about him. Made a post. He was like, nobody will fight this dude. He's a Russian kid. Nobody will fight this dude. We want somebody to come out Portland, Oregon to fight him. Um, Josh saw the post on Instagram and was like, I'll fight him. Nobody. He was like, y'all just haven't found my name yet. Right. So he's 5-0. He's training at Bo Nichols' gym, working at like Texas Roadhouse or some be I think it was Applebee's, working at like Applebee's being a dishwasher, right? He comes out here with my boy Ryan Sullivan that I wrestled with at WVU. And he's like, bro, this place is sick. It's like, yeah, come for like a week and see if you like it. Crash on my couch. Comes, crashed on the couch. I believe the first time he came out, it was the like week or two leading up to that fight. He's training with us, and like I watched it click. I was like, oh, he like move here. I was like, I'm living in a studio apartment, right? I was like, we'll figure it out, right? So basically, college dorm room we live
Hmm.
in, with a kitchen. I was like, we'll figure it out. He comes back, he loses that fight, right? 5-round fight. He wins the first two easily. Like definitely wins the first two, gets takedowns, beating the kid up. And this kid's like 4-0 pro now. He's beating the dude up. And then the third, fourth, and fifth, in my opinion, if he had Mike and Will in his corner, he would have won, right? He only need one takedown. He'd win the third round and then, win 3 out of 5. But he comes back, good fight, loses a split decision, I think, in that kid's like home area. Comes back, watched me grapple Gavin Teasdale. And then he's training here, and then he was like, I'm moving. And I was like, word off, we'll figure it out. So we've lived together in a dorm room about a year now.
Jesus.
Yeah.
How's his striking?
So that's one thing. So he got here very green. Very green. Like, and he would admit it, he was scrappy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He wasn't scared to get hit, but he was getting hit too much, right? Even if you watch his fights. Now strikes fucking good. His striking is really good.
Mm.
And Josh's style's like perfect for what he needs it to be good at. And his striking, he's dangerous, bro. He's the best guy in the gym. He's the best fighter in the gym. 100%, in my
Yeah.
opinion. And like, it's
He's
really,
scary.
yeah.
He's definitely scary. I'm pumped. I saw that news pop up because we were chatting. He was like, dude, I don't want to rush into something, but like honestly, I at this point I don't really care. Like I want to get this pro debut.
Yeah.
And then I saw that post and I'm like, fuck, this dude doesn't look like he's much of a slouch.
It'll be a good
It's
fight.
gonna be a good fight.
It'll
Yeah.
be a good fight for about a round. And then I think skills, the first round's like, as long as you don't
Get caught.
yeah, as long as you focus during the first round, you got to be focused the whole fight. You have to be in focused for 15 minutes. When we talk about my fight, that's something that was like a big thing. But first round, I think, if you don't get caught, Josh gonna win in the second, third.
Mm,
Just like skill set for skill set. There's nobody that's not in the UFC, in my opinion, that beats him. If we go skill for skill, like if we went to an MMA combine, you know what I mean? Like if this was an NFL combine
hmm
and we went skill for skill, Josh over anybody. It's not even close. Like we're looking at Madden ratings, like dude's
mm.
he's with the UFC fighters now. He's 0-0. So yeah, I
No, it'll
think
be exciting. I'm
I'm
gonna try to
very
make the
excited.
trip down there.
Yeah, it's in Morgantown. Morgantown, cool, like full circle thing.
Hmm
Because we all met each other in Morgantown. All
hmm
met each other in Morgantown. We were dumb 18-year-olds, with like some pipe dreams of being UFC fighters, and now we're pretty damn close.
hmm
All three of us. So it's like it's very, very cool. I'm gonna try to get the some of the coaches, the WV wrestling coaches, if they're not too busy to come out and watch them. They might be at a tournament, but we'll see.
hmm
Yeah.
That'll be badass.
Yeah.
So your fight, congrats, by the
Thank you.
way. It was
Yeah.
exciting. Like honestly, it was a good night.
Yeah, it
My
was
I
a
had my
it
family
was a
there. My
blast.
dad was hammered. My brother was hammered. Well, my brother's girlfriend was hammered, I should say. He flew in from California. He's shipping off to the Air Force next week. So he was like, came back and he's like, oh, there's a fight. So I'd like, we actually sat right behind your parents.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like directly behind your mom and dad.
Oh,
And so
awesome.
it was cool. Like interesting venue. Like a
Yeah.
switch up. Just something like that, like changing venue. I mean, any stress from you, like as far as just coordinating people coming in and or is that just really not matter to you?
A little bit. Like when they told me, I was like immediately, like I was pissed. And then after I sat for like an hour, I was like, I'm just grateful they put it like immediately you're gonna have the reaction like, bro, I sold 150 tickets, right? I sold a lot of tickets, right? I have to communicate. Like I tied like records at for 247 essentially. Um, but I gotta communicate with these people and I'm back to wait. So I texted all the people that bought front row seats. Um, and was just like, yo, blah blah blah. Like venue change. It's in North for sales now. Sorry about it. And basically that's it. Nobody bailed. No, everybody was like, yeah, we're coming to watch you, right?
Hmm
Um, and for me, it was like, all right, I'm gonna get rid of these tickets that I had left. And yeah, it wasn't too much. Wasn't too much of a stress. I mean, it was a little added stress, but I'm truthfully grateful for 247 to keep the event on.
Yeah.
Most promotions would not have been able to do that. On a week notice on Halloween weekend, getting a venue, impossible. What they did, they tore down an entire trampoline park, and we're like, we'll figure it out. You know what I mean? Just that we'll figure it out mentality,
hmm
kept everything alive. You know, got me to I could be sitting here really upset that I
hmm
don't have a fight and be preparing for a fight. You know what I mean? And I'm sitting here grateful that I'm 3-0 and got to put on a performance.
Yeah. I know you take a lot of pride in like you've talked so much when we've had these conversations about the team, right?
Hmm.
Knowing you're on a card and two of your close teammates have a rough go,
Hmm.
like you're sitting in the back, is how do you compartmentalize that from your perspective when you're as invested as you are with guys like Luke and Josh who, like not their best showing, but like kind of just dumb shit, just kind of brings the energy out. I mean, does that affect you? Or is it easy for you to just kind of throw that into the back and say, like, I gotta go? Does that motivate you even more to go out there and like in a way avenge what just happened for them and kind of like show out even more for Stout? Or is it like, hey, I'll deal with that later?
Um, so it's not the first time that's happened. So I'm okay, right? And like I said, when me and Luke are on the podcast, like I know whatever he does isn't going to affect me and vice versa.
Hmm.
The first time this happened would have been what my Amy title fight for 247. I fought Cam Algier, like a Pittsburgh guy, and Miguel fought this kid named Jake Wiggins, who I hopefully. get the fight here soon. He's doing another 3-0 pro. He fought Jake Wiggins for a belt. Miguel fought bantamweight belt, and I fought featherweight belt back to back. Right? I was living with Miguel. Right? We were like real close. Miguel goes on, makes a couple mistakes, and gets caught. Right? In my opinion, Jake hits hard, gets caught, breaks his jaw. Right? That's Well, he's the fight before me, right? So I'm sitting there backstage warming up, bouncing around, look up at the thing. I'm like, oh, oh, oh. And then I watch it happen. I'm like, oh, shit, right? But I've been doing this my whole life, right? I know to be able to separate it, right? So I watch it happen, watch, him come backstage clearly hurting. And it like hurt, for a second, but I'm not attached to that at the moment. I'm attached to doing my job. I go out and do my job. I'm
Mhm.
focused on me, right? I have to be selfish, right? Because otherwise, we're both gonna lose, right? You have to be selfish, right? So another time it happened, my best friend grew up together, went to middle school together, wrestled since we were kids. Cam Jenkins fights on 247 card, 21.5 during the day. Have you seen the video of the dude
Mhm.
kissing
Mhm.
the guy?
Mhm.
Cam Jenkins, the dude that they've been fighting, right? Dude kissed him, kind of got in his head, in my opinion, right? I think he would admit this. He goes out, loses, and it wasn't necessarily like the worst performance. It wasn't his best performance, but I think it was like everything that happened, right? And then I got to sit there, I'm warming up, and he's in the corner, dealing with that, and like it's like you go out and do your job. You know what I mean? I watched Luke and Josh fight, and um I don't really pay attention to it. I don't know what's going on, right? They come back, I'm like, damn, you know, that sucks, but I
Mhm.
got to do my job. Doesn't take away from my focus. Um, I have to be selfish. I have to go do what I'm supposed to do. I have a job to do. This is my job. This is how I make a living. This is how I'm going to go forward in my career. Yes, you are my teammates, right? I did my best to prepare you. You did your best to prepare me, and in turn, you doing your best to prepare me. I'm gonna go do my job. You go out and you do your job. Some of us are gonna fail on the way there. That's how it works.
Yeah. Anything surprise you about the fight with Eddie?
Dude, shorter than I thought he was gonna be.
Yeah, he was
Dude, what the fuck? I swear I saw him like he got shorter from the last time I saw because I saw him when Justin fought Cafaro backstage and I don't know what I was like, oh, he's bigger than I thought it was, right? Because I thought he was like I didn't think he was much like, dude, I must have been looking at him from across the room or something, like
Yeah, when I
way
saw
far
the
away, bro.
weigh-ins, because that was
Dude,
the first time I saw you guys together. I'd watched when you told me you were fighting him, I went and like checked out some of his clips.
mm,
You can't get the perspective. And then when the weigh-in photos came out and I saw him standing in front of you, I was like, oh wow.
yeah,
He's like what, 5'4", 5'5"?
dude, he might be short. He's got to be shorter than that. He's got to be shorter than
He was
that.
thick.
Yeah, he might be like 5'3", 5'2". Look, like he's short guy, short guy. And a lot of it, right? So, okay, leading into this fight, so I watched what happened with Luke and Visoki. Along with that, I wasn't feeling. You're gonna have this, right? You're gonna have days where you're just not gonna feel at your best, right? I'm backstage. Someone's just off. Could have been what I ate the day before. It could have been a little bit of like playing to my opponent, right? And I didn't have, some of the feelings I typically have, right? And I think I'm gonna work on it, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of
Is that
like
is it like fear? Is
I
that a
didn't
feeling?
necessarily have the fear,
You know what I mean?
right?
Like,
And I think that's a problem, right? And we'll figure it out. And just like my jab wasn't landing because he's a little bit short, so we'll figure that out. Right? It's just a part of the game, right? And I felt good warming up in the back. I'm like, something's off here. Went like changed my contacts or something right before Visoki walked. I'm like, all right, I feel a little bit better because my eyes were dry, wearing them the whole day. Changed my contacts. Visoki goes out and fights, and as soon as Visoki fights, in my head, I was like, let's refer to what Will was telling me in these clips, these videos we were watching. It's like, stay focused for 15 minutes, right? Because in my head, I'm thinking I'm gonna go out and knock this kid out, right? But you got to stay focused for 15 minutes, right? So that was my goal. Right? My job as a fighter was to go out and be focused for 15 minutes. That I did, right? The ins and outs, the zigs and zags, the flying knees that I fucking missed, and the
Hmm.
that shit, like, okay. But I was focused for 15 minutes. My goal was to get him out of there. I got him out of there, right? On to the next one.
Hmm.
So, um, there's definitely like gives and takes. Wasn't the best performance. I give it a C, C minus. But dude's a vet. He had we were counting yesterday. I don't know why everybody said they couldn't find his amateur tapology because if you
Yeah.
gotta scroll down,
Yeah. Yeah.
it was like he had like 14 amateur fights and he had 13 professional fights. Dude had 28, 27 fights. That was my eighth fight, right? So, dude, like, he's a vet.
Hmm.
There was a couple things that I was like, I made adjustments backstage that I went out and kept focused for 15 minutes and did it. Right. So I
Hmm.
think like being able to make adjustments on the fly in between rounds with my corner, um, I learned a lot. I learned a lot in the fight, and I'm ready to take the next step and fight
You had some
some
injuries
guy.
coming in too, right?
Didn't feel great. Yeah, there's some stuff lingering. Nothing I'm gonna disclose just in case I turn around and fight soon. Um, but yeah, there was some stuff where it's
Hmm.
like, we can't throw certain things 100%. Um, so like some of the tricks might have been a little bit more compensating in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But
I was going to ask you about that. Like now that you're 3-0 and like a win's a win, right? Like
yeah,
there's
wins a
a
win.
win's a win.
Finish is a finish too.
Absolutely. I mean, to the focus part, dude, to be able to stay on him. I mean, there was no round where there was, I mean, you clearly won the first round. You clearly won the second round.
Hmm.
Um, I thought he was a tough dude. You're an exciting guy to watch, right? Like
Hmm.
your point, the flying knees, the spinning back fists, like you're throwing all kinds of fucking crazy shit. As you continue to move up, like how much do you shift the focus or put into like getting back to fundamentals and basics? Like, is that something that, like, hey, I got like as much as I'm exciting and you want to continue because that's like
Yeah.
that's who you are, right? Like, you don't
Yeah.
want to ever run from what you're good at. And I mean, fuck, dude, everybody's seen the highlight of you with the flying knee and just
Yeah.
cannon over somebody. So like, it's not that it's just flash; it fucking works.
Yeah.
But as guys get better, is there a like, hey, I got to make sure that I always keep my fundamentals strong and not focus too much on other stuff?
100%. But also, like you said, and I think it's good, it's who I am. It's not like I don't do it out of like some of the shit I do, I didn't even think about.
You're
You know what
just
I mean?
doing
Like,
it
did
in
you
the
hear?
moment.
I was talking shit to his corner in the third round, and like it's just something that comes out of me. Like I don't know, when I'm in there, I'm a different person,
Yeah.
right? I'm a performer, and but what we do in the room is going to translate.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go back. I actually meet with Mike and Will tomorrow. I approach it like a professional. We're gonna sit down and get expo marker out. We're gonna be like, here's the calendar, here's what we're doing, blah 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 blah.
Mm.
Here's what you need to get better at. I have my own notes. They're gonna come in with their notes. We're gonna collaborate. The three of us are gonna put our minds together, and the three of us is a very, very smart person. You separate us. We might be lacking some categories. Maybe not will. But yeah, we'll figure it out. And move forward and figure out what's best. But yeah, I think some of the stuff you said, but like some of the stuff's like it's just who I am.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've
Well,
got
and I almost
caught.
think does the fundamentals being strong only also enhance
I think
like
it
you
does.
know what I mean? Like if you're
Yeah.
and not and I don't say this, hopefully people that know like it's not that you have bad fundamentals. I just you know what
No.
I mean? It's like to me,
Well, I think one thing to keep in mind, and Mike and Will do a good job of reminding me of I've been fighting for 2 years, barely over 2 years.
mhm.
So,
That's a good way. That's kind of yeah, to
some
that
of these
point.
guys, Eddie Alvarez, Amy debuted in 2012, right? I was 12.
It's fucking wild to
I
think
was
that.
like in what, seventh grade, sixth maybe.
Yeah.
So it's good to have perspective sometimes, but like where I'm trying to go, and where I'm trying to go pretty fast is, we need to dial some stuff up. But I'll tell you right now, You tell me what I need to do and I'll do it.
Yeah.
We're gonna sit down, we're gonna figure it out, we're gonna come up with a game plan. We're all gonna agree with that game plan. I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna do what I need to do. And I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm at this stage where I just want to be the best martial artist possible. Um, there was like that's my focus, right? I really, really want. I've been watching fights a lot. I don't want to say I fell out of love with it, but like when you're so busy, so into it, right? I'm almost like getting like my second wind of like, oh, I love this shit,
Hmm.
right? Watching fights, watching certain fighters, right? I'm really good at like watching a fighter and then going out and just doing exactly what they do, right? With that being said, you be careful who I watch, right? There's some people that like, I'm not gonna be able to do the shit they do, right? Like I'm not 5 foot tall, right? I'm not gonna fight like Henry Cejudo sometimes, but there's
Mm.
some stuff I can take from him.
Hmm.
So I think just like, executing certain things and learning from certain people
Yeah.
is gonna be big for me. I was watching a lot of Corey Sandhagen leading up to this fight, and I think if you go watch that fight, you'd be like, oh, that makes sense.
Oh, dude, every time I watch you fight, you just mimic so much of what he does. The way
Yeah,
you move, your footwork in a lot of
yeah,
ways, the focus, right? I think back to the focus, like Corey's always like just lasered in.
yeah,
And
yeah.
you can tell.
And yeah, I listen like when I watch, and I'm like this with everything, right? Even since I was a kid, like if I like a musician, like I'm gonna find out their life story and just
Mm.
like be like invested in it, right? So I was watching a lot of Sandhagen, listen to his podcast and stuff, his Joe Rogan interviews, and like kind of how he's like looked at the sport and stuff like that. And I relate to it a lot, and I can take that away with some other people.
Hmm.
But yeah, he's somebody I definitely look up to in the sport, and hopefully like one day get the opportunity to train with. If not, fight.
Mm.
That'd be sick.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think you could see it in that fight.
absolutely.
Especially some of the shit I missed, like the flying knees and stuff. Like looking back, he did that a lot. Like he missed a
Yeah,
lot of flying. Another person I watch a lot of, John Jones.
yeah.
And very similar, right? And then they go back, and I think they had the point in their careers where they kind of reverse engineered a little bit of stuff,
Hmm.
but without giving too much away, like,
Yeah, you threw a wheel kick that just missed him.
there was one.
I was like, oh
There was
shit.
one combination. So the first switch knee landed in the first 10 seconds, and I kind of played my cards a little bit too early because I wanted to wait to do that. Um and then in the like the second round, first 30 seconds, clearly watched this fight back a lot. Um second round, first 30 seconds, I land another knee, step, switch my stances a couple times, land punches, and then I spinning wheel kick. And if I would have took one more step where he was in the cage, he was gonna collide with my foot. But I like kind of jumped the gun like a little quick, and that would have been like the highlight reel, you know?
Hmm.
Um, but there was some stuff, man. Like, there was a couple times I hit him, and I wasn't sure if he was playing possum, so I didn't like going for the kill,
Hmm.
right? Which some people would be like, "Oh, that was a mistake." I think it was maturity, right? I
Yeah,
think a lot of like people,
especially against a
I think a lot
stabby
of
vet,
people would be like,
right?
"Ah," and then get
Yeah.
right. So I think that was something I took away. Right, it's one of the things I was happy with. Um, but I'm excited. I'm watching back with Mike and Will tomorrow. Um, we'll probably watch it like one time through, kind of get some data, and then watch it, pause it, do all that,
Hmm.
right? See where we need to go.
No,
See where
you
we need to
seem
get
like
better.
you enjoy that aspect of it too, which
I
is,
love it. I love the
like
like
breaking things down and really starting to
analytics of
analyze.
it, the like the f- the like fighting part of it, like the X's and O's, the here's this opponent, here's what we need to do for this specific opponent, here's what we need to do here. Because and this is something I told Ish when we did the post-fight interview. It's like I'm a Swiss Army knife, right? I think a lot of people think that like I wrestled my entire life. I'm wrestling. Right? I've struck
Hmm.
in my last couple fights. I'm a striker. Right? I don't think people know how good I am in jiu-jitsu. I think I'm a Swiss Army knife of fighting, and that is something I just want to become the best martial artist possible.
Hmm.
And I'm in the right place with the right people to do so. So, we're gonna make it happen. And I'm 3-0. There's a serious shot I'm gonna be in the UFC next year. And like that was like talking out of my ass 2 years ago, but
Oh, we talked about like
manifested,
manifestation, man. That's
manifestation, right? And serious shot, right? And we're taking a step up in
I
competition.
was just gonna say, do you now, because of that reality and it becoming closer, start to think a little more strategically about who you're fighting?
Uh,
And
it's almost
not
the
in a like being
opposite.
safe, but like to your point,
Yeah,
like
it's
step it up in
almost
comp.
yeah, it's almost like there's a couple names I have in mind. Um, One of the names is Jake Wiggins. He's the dude that fought Miguel. Me and him, our career path's been weird, right? So we both won our Emmy titles on the same day. I believe he fought one more Emmy fight. Um, we debuted within a month. We had our second fight within a month, and he fought the day before me.
Where's he from?
Michigan. He fights out of Deepwater MMA in Michigan. He's 3-0. I'm 3-0. I think beginning of next year we fight each other and you know, winner goes 4-0 and just gotta win over a 3-0 guy. That's a big deal.
Hmm.
Um, if not, if he's got something else, I'm sure there's some other people we could find. But that's a specific person I would like to fight.
Do you
And
think he shares the same thoughts? Like, do you think he's
I
sit
even
there?
I messaged him and I was like I think we're on a collision course. And he was like, yeah, dude, me too. And I love that. And I also love how game he is. So, it's where I'm at that point in my career where it's like I'm gonna fight some scary motherfuckers. But I think that brings the best out of me. I
Hmm.
think,
Well, it has to, right?
yeah,
Like otherwise, those
sink or
dreams of
swim,
being in the UFC,
sink or swim. Yeah,
everybody's a scary dude.
yeah, 100%. And I think like those big moments, those like contender moments, I
Hmm.
think that's where you guys are gonna be like this fucking kid just rise to the occasion. And I think I will. I have no doubt in my mind. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna have the best version of myself. I'm gonna go out and fight these scary guys. So I'm excited. I'm excited to take a step up. I'm excited to really run 2025 hard.
How much longer do you have with 247 on your current agreement?
Ends at the end of March, but that
Okay.
doesn't mean, it doesn't mean I won't fight for them again. We could renegotiate. We could, just do like a one-off fight. I would love to have their belt. I'd love to be their champion, being that
Hmm.
I fought 8 fights. 6 of them were for 247. Had a professional grappling match for them, commentated their stuff. We have a good connection. But at the end of the day, I'm trying to get to the UFC, and I think they can help me get there, and it's a good connection. I love fighting in front of my people, so that means a
Hmm.
lot to me. But we got some things to take care of first, and you gotta win my next fight.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Very exciting, dude. We were talking before this. I mean, speaking of the UFC, a lot of great fights. And
yeah,
I love the idea of doing like getting a few of us together for like a fight companion and just
yeah,
kind of
dude, that'd
shooting the
be
shit while we
sick.
do it. I was up last night with my two boys.
Yeah,
We were at a neighborhood party with some friends of ours, and it was like 8:30, and I'm like, shit, there's fight night on tonight. And my boys are like sitting in the driveway watching a movie on an outdoor movie screen. I'm like, hey guys, you guys want to go watch the UFC? My son is like tells me every day, I'm going to be a UFC champion. He's 5,
oh really?
dude. Yeah, like, and
Dude, that's awesome. Is
it's
oh, he takes the kids classes,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's sick. I
Oh,
love that.
I mean, he throws a mean right hand too. Like, actually, like,
Yeah,
I'll send
like
you a video after this
hell
of him
yeah,
punching my
dude.
hand. I was like, fuck, dude, like, you can throw. He's just got that chippiness, that little bit of edge. My 3-year-old, like, he's Frank the Tank. That kid's gonna be a problem, but the fights are awesome. And dude, Max and Ilya, disappointing. Although
Yeah,
I've nothing. I've become a bigger fan of Ilya after
yeah, I like
watching that
Ilya.
fight.
Ilya's style. This is something Mike and Will are on a big Ilya kick, I want to say, but I think everybody is right now.
Mm-hmm.
He fights efficiently,
Mm-hmm.
right? So he's very boxing centric style where he's moving forward, head movement a lot. And the way he like distributes his weight and power. uh, it's efficient, right? There's no like wasted movement, right? Um, and that allows him to out grapple Bryce Mitchell, outstrike Max Holloway, right? Uh, I think Max was doing really well. I thought Max won one of the rounds.
Hmm.
Um, but the thing with somebody who's always in the right stance, who has power, that's always that fights that efficiently, is you zig when you should zag, it's
Dude,
over.
Max was doing great, albeit the whole time I was just like, he's gonna get clipped. Like I just
There's
had this
always that
feeling like
possibility.
he's just gonna get clipped. For a 145er, dude, that guy hits like a welterweight.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And one of the things we were talking about, this is backstage, we're like getting our hands wrapped, right? I think Vasogi's like getting his hands wrapped, and we're sitting there shooting the shit with Mike. Mike's like, he doesn't cut that much weight. He's like he even that's efficient, you know?
Mm,
So like everything about his fighting style, fighting lifestyle is just efficiency. Um, and I think like that's a good like blueprint. I don't think it necessarily works for everybody.
yeah.
There's some people that didn't hit very fit. John Jones, best fighter ever in my opinion, and like I would argue some of his stuff wasn't efficient, right? It might be because he started fighting when he was 20,
Hmm.
but he's not that old. He's 27.
Imagine if just imagine John, and it's like you play these what if scenarios, and it's like John Jones isn't John Jones if he trains differently. And I think he's probably more of a tactician than a lot of people realize. I mean, he
He's
fought at Jackson's. I mean, you
so
see him with
smart.
Gordon, you see him with freaking what's the big dude that former wrestler from Minnesota,
Gable Steveson.
Gable. Yeah, I saw Gable was there working
Yeah.
with him. So like John's clearly prepared, but you hear these stories from people about just the athlete, and then you forget it's like, dude, his two brothers are
Yeah,
superstar
bro.
NFL
Like,
players. Like, tell me the scraps that they must have had. I heard, I think it was Frank Mir. I think it was Mir, and was like, John Jones was doing some shit in training where he like was seated and Frank was on top of him. And he's like, John grabbed both of my wrists and then scooted his butt out and stood up and like held my wrist and was like, isn't that really cool? And Frank's like, dude, you're the only person in the world that could do that. Like the freakishness, right? And the wildness, like going and fighting, you know, Alex with, or was it who, not Alex, blonde Swedish guy. Oh, shit.
yeah, I know who you're
You know who
talking
I'm
about.
talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah. Gustafson.
Yeah, Alexander Gustafsson. So I was right. It was
Yeah,
Alex.
yeah,
Like the first fight, like admittedly, I didn't train for this. I was doing coke a week beforehand.
yeah.
Like that makes John Jones John Jones. But imagine if he had like the George St. Pierre preparation,
I don't think he would be as good.
right? Like is it the trade-offs that like you don't get one without the other?
Yeah, I think there's a little there. So I think the cool thing about fighting is like people's personalities are also tied into it, right? So,
Hmm.
um, like, and I brought this up. Like, I think people's personalities are very like Luke Martin. Like, you could tell his fighting style with it, just how he is.
Hmm.
Um, John, right, is an example. He's an outlier, right? There's outliers and everything. But I think the like not giving a fuck attitude sometimes is dangerous, right? It's like crazy, right? And I have a little bit of that, right? So I try to dial it back sometimes, right? But that's why I look at John a lot because we have very similar fighting styles. Um, and I think like if he lived that George St. Pierre lifestyle, he wouldn't,
Take the risks.
yeah, he wouldn't
Yeah.
take the risks and stuff. Now, I'm not as wild as John is, right? I kind of live somewhere in that gray area between George St. Pierre and John Jones,
Yeah.
right? And that's my best area, right? And it's just different for everybody, right? There's some people who it's like, dude, I'd rather you go party 2 weeks before get out of your system. You're gonna have a better performance. I've talked to like high level people that I've like either wrestled with or fought with where like I've like been like, yeah, bro, just don't train for like 3 weeks out. Like I have a like different approach with this where because I have a sports psychology degree and like John Jones is a specific person I've like looked at a lot and referenced a lot. Um, but yeah, there's like some like high level competitors that I've told that I'm like, bro, like you got that wild boy side of you. Like go out and enjoy life. Like if you're
Hmm.
living just dialed in. Like there's some people that just can't do it. They can't do it. You get this like antsy feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, you can't just be like, oh, God. Like me, like backstage, I can't, oh, I'm gonna go kill this guy, right? I'm like fucking smiling, listening to music, shadow
Getting loose.
boxing, getting loose, cracking jokes. People are like, this motherfucker doesn't that take this serious. Dog, this is how I go have my best performance. I know what it takes for me to have my best performance, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm backstage cracking, I'm like, oh, fuck this guy up. That's not me. That's not an authentic me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like a lot of fighting is just an amplified version of your personality.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm very, you know, that's like a theory I have that I would
Mm-hmm.
like to like sit down
What do
and
you think
study.
happens if let's assume Bilal wins? Well, he actually just pulled out. I saw,
Yeah,
didn't
he
he?
fucked up his
Yeah.
toe. He has an
Yeah.
infection or something.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just assume though. So he's still holding the 70, which means Makachev isn't going to go up because they're not going to fight each other. I think
Yeah.
Makachev goes up if Bilal loses the belt. But let's assume Bilal holds the belt. Islam stays at 55. Ilya,
I don't think he should go
do
up.
you think he goes up?
No, I think it's a better shot. Me and Mike were talking about this. It's better, it makes more sense for him to go down. He's tiny, not a huge 45.
I mean, I guess to your earlier point, he doesn't cut a lot of
He
weight.
doesn't cut a lot of weight. He first and foremost, you need to clear out the division before you go up and go fight these. Like that's just not how it works. Like you don't just like just be like, all right, well I beat Max, so I'm gonna go up, right? Money wise, it might make a lot of sense,
Hmm.
but he needs to clear out the division. He's got it. Max or Volk should. I think Max is going 55. Volk should have to fight him twice.
Yeah.
I think what they should do, Volk should run it with Diego Lopez. Winner fights Ilya. Ilya beats that guy. I'm sure there's gonna be another contender,
Do you think they
right?
do that though? Do you think they have Volk fight Lopez,
From
or do you think they're going to just go right to Ilya and
I
Volk?
believe Ilya wants to take a break. I think that's what he said.
Okay.
Um, and he deserves it, right? I think Ilya probably fight in the summer. In between then, Bulk and Diego should fight,
Hmm.
and winner gets Ilya. Ilya deserves to be able to call some shots, right? I
Hmm.
think the fight should take place in Spain,
Hmm.
whenever he fights again, right? Let's have this guy, use like the UFC is really good at taking advantage of somebody when they have them, right? A good example of that, just off the top of my head, would be when O'Malley fought in the Sphere, right? They're
Hmm.
like, we got this guy, he's the champ right now. Let's have him fight this guy, but let's do like the Sphere because it's going to sell a lot of tickets. Um, they go to people's hometowns when they're the champs. They fought in Cleveland. Um, so they'll take advantage of
Well,
it, yeah.
even the fact that Connor hasn't fought, like I heard something the other day, and I was like, it makes just perfect sense.
Dude, if I were matchmaking, the number one fight I would do, I guess Max still has the BMF thing.
Yep,
Max Dan Hooker. I'd kill for that fight.
absolutely.
Connor, I could give two shits who he fights really.
Well,
I'll watch
think
him.
think about this though. There's a lot of people that's like, oh, Connor's not ready. I think that the UFC doesn't want Connor to fight right now.
Yeah, I think the UFC sidelining Connor because they know they only have him for like one more fight, so
Two
they need
two
to make.
fights left, and
Yeah,
they've got this TV deal. So like, you go to ESPN, Connor's still a draw in a lot of people's eyes, right? So
yeah,
it's like, oh, Connor's going to sell a
he
lot of,
is a draw. Yeah,
right? So if Connor has one fight left and they're negotiating a new TV deal, how much leverage do you have as opposed to, hey, you pay us X billions of dollars and you're going to get two Conor McGregor fights as opposed to one Conor McGregor fight? I mean, to me, this is just as much. I actually, as much as I've kind of fallen off of Conor, I think it's just I cringe every time I see it. It's like, dude, shut up right now. But I feel like he's in a spot where the UFC's controlling not having him out there. I actually think the guy wants to fight. I truly do believe he wants to fight. And I think the UFC is like,
yeah,
nah.
they might be kicking him back. I've heard rumblings 165 versus Max, which I think would be cool because for the BMF title, I think that makes a lot of sense.
I think
Um,
Max would just fucking destroy him now, though. I really do. I
I
think
don't
Connor
know.
is
It's a
just,
weird style matchup when you look at action because that's such an important aspect of fighting.
I mean, he does remind me a lot of Ilya. So like you could kind of draw similarities between
A lot of
Connor
Ilya,
versus Ilya
a lot of
against
Ilya.
Max.
Connor Southpaw. Um, he's gonna strike with Max. Max isn't gonna take him down. Connor has power, so there's always the shot that like he could get knocked out at any point. Max chin just got tested a little bit, so coming off of that.
Hmm.
And like the actual like when you look at the X's and O's, it's a dangerous fight for Max. Um, Now there's people I think Max would piece up way worse that you would look at their records and be like, that doesn't the math's not mathing, you know what I mean? But I think I
Doesn't
think his
Max
style
remind
wise
you
is
a little
weird.
bit more of a better version of Diaz though? And like that gave Connor trouble, right? Going long into a fight against a
Yeah,
guy
I
that
agree with that. Yeah.
throws just a lot of volume at you. Like I look at Max right now, Max is a better version of Nate Diaz to me than when Connor fought Nate Diaz. I think the Nate Diaz that fought Connor and won
Hmm.
would lose to Max today.
Yeah, one of the biggest things for me is Max switches his stances a lot.
Hmm.
Um, and Connor's very good with people that switch his stances a lot, but he's very bad against southpaws. Most of the fights he loses against southpaw. DP's a southpaw. I
Hmm.
believe Nate Diaz also is. I would have to look. I don't watch a lot of Diaz. Um,
Yeah, sure.
so like that, like close stance versus open stance. This is just the X's and
Yeah.
O's.
Styles make fights.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm interested. I'm interested. I'm more of a Max fan. Whoever Max is fighting next in the next 5
How
minutes,
can you
gonna
not?
I
Right?
love Max. I love his approach to the game. I love how he fights. I love how he is as like a man. He's somebody I definitely look up to a lot. He's just a good dude. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Um, and those are the people that I want to be champion. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Rather
Absolutely.
than the, wild boys like Connor. But like all due respect, like if you fight and you win, that's all.
Hmm.
That's what takes care of itself.
Yeah, no, the Max fight cost me a little bit. Actually, there was two fights. I ran a big parlay on
Damn.
that event, and I actually took Whitaker over Hamzat.
Dude,
Bro,
Hamzat,
scary.
Shemaev.
What the fuck?
Crazy good. Dude, I've heard some wild stuff about like his in and outs and like some stuff that's like behind the scenes shit that he's like not allowed to fight.
Yeah, because of
Like,
the dude, his two cornermen were like the sons of
yeah,
that dictator from Chechnya.
yeah, dude. I heard I think it was Brendan Schaub talking about this, and
Yes.
he was like, dude, what are you gonna do? Have Sean Strickland go fight in the Middle East? Because that's nuts. Like
Yeah.
that's wild. So I think Sean and DDP will fight. And Kamsa's probably gonna get a winner.
Yeah.
And I think it has to be in the Middle East. Like I don't think Kamsat's allowed to leave.
Yeah. It's
And Chimaev's a dog, but we got an American version of him brewing, so we'll keep it.
you speaking about Bo?
Bo's gonna yeah, Bo's
Yeah.
gonna kill him. But they're
Yeah.
doing it right. They're keeping Bo on the back burner, letting him
Yeah,
develop.
we haven't talked about Bo Nickel. I mean, being a
I love Bo
wrestler,
Nickel. I love Bo Nickel.
I mean,
Yeah,
dude, how can you? I love Bo Nickel. Just the fact he's a PA guy, he's fucking talking about hunting and grilling steaks and
yeah,
just hard nosed grit and
yeah,
being 2.5 hours down the road is pretty badass as well.
yeah. He's
I'm excited
cool.
for his. That's a big step up, even right now. To your point, they've been keeping him.
They're doing it smart. They're doing
Yeah,
it right. They're giving them like the O'Malley path,
yeah.
right? Where it's like, we'll develop you. And only some people get that, or you have to have a lot to offer.
Hmm.
Bo Nickel is just a winner. So I think they did it for that. And he's an American. And I think they prefer to have American champions. It's easier to market. Um, but he like I don't know, like his personality is good, but he's doing all the right stuff, right?
Hmm.
They probably help him. They were probably like, bro, you gotta make a YouTube. You gotta do this. You gotta do that.
Hmm.
Um, and I think they're like giving him the right fights. Who's he fight?
Paul Craig.
He's gonna win. You're right. A bet that is like a decent fight.
Yeah, I mean, Paul Craig
A
is the
bet that
only
has
person that
threats.
beat Magomed.
A veteran that has threats is the perfect fight for Bo
Tough off
Nickel
of
right
his,
now.
he's tough on his back, man. He beat Magomed Ankalaev like at the final second with a triangle, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, and you think about Bo being a guy that's going to dominate, be on top. I'm with you. I think that he probably smashes him in the first round and a half.
I think. I think so. I think we're gonna see a little bit more bow striking because the thing about like, a good wrestler facing a good grappler is like, where's your safe zone?
Hmm.
Where's your like reset space? And it's gonna be on top, right? Probably sitting in a dude's guard, right? Well, against this specific person, that is not necessarily super safe. So I think we're gonna see a little bit more bow striking. Let me see how good he is, just like overall, right? Can he avoid some of the banana peels that are going to be out
Hmm.
there that he could, catch himself in a triangle or he needs to get to the safe spots and, figure out where to finish the fight. I think it'll be a little bit longer than that. I think it'll be more of like a third round finish.
Really? Yeah,
Yeah,
he
I
hasn't
think
been out of I think like what, 2 minutes?
really I thought his last fight went pretty long.
I don't know.
You
Let
look
me.
it up on top of it.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I think Bo is the next like superstar. I think Bo ha is the American version of like a GSP.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Let's see.
Last fight was against, it wasn't Gore. Gore he knocked out. Thought he had a decent fight recently.
Cody Brundage.
Oh, how long did that one go?
So
Figure out.
it was the second round with 3:38 left. So
Okay.
he submitted him. UFC 300.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember that. I think.
Cody Brundage is a tough dude.
Yeah. Right. So give him a use like vets with like yeah, just outside top 15 guys. He's gonna go in top 15. They'll probably give him like somebody he can take down in top 15. Then they'll probably give him like a tough fight to build him, just like they did O'Malley, right? And then they'll be like, all right, you win this fight, you get a title shot, right? So like
Hmm.
looking back at O'Malley, O'Malley's path was like he fought Pedro Munoz was supposed to be the fight that like transcended him, and then that one ended via like eye poke.
Yeah.
And then he fought Peter Yan, and they were like, "They're not fighting anyway in this fight. But if you do, we'll give you the title." And he beat Peter Yan, and they're like, "Oh shit, okay, right, we'll give you the title." So I think that's gonna be a very similar path to Bo. They'll probably give him like a 15 guy, 7 guy. They might just go like 10 and then give him
Probably
another one
depends a lot
contender.
on how he wins those fights, right? If you throw him a
100%.
tough challenge and he walks through somebody and the moment makes sense and Hamzat's holding the title, how do you not make that fight?
Yeah.
But I mean, dude, that is a scary, scary motherfucker. And the stories that you hear, you think sometimes it's like, is it fable? You hear these stories that he's been like throwing like top Olympic guys around
I
and
mean,
holding
dude,
them. There's a
there's
video out there of him like just ragdolling somebody.
how old is Chimaev?
Uh,
Because
geez.
I'll tell you right now, I know some UFC fighters that got stories like that that didn't they were on top for a little while, but it didn't pan out because age gets to you, right? BJ Penn is one of the
He's
people.
30.
He's only 30.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, he's
Um,
30.
Bo's got to be 28.
Yeah, I think Bo Nickel is 28. Yeah, so
Yeah. So I think Hamzat's gonna run it hard for the time. He's got some health issues and
yeah.
stuff, right? There's not like that's not just like easy breezy, right? Somewhere in there is Israel Adesanya, who's a sniper that can knock out either one of those two.
Hmm.
Um, I think it, yeah,
What he did to Robert Whitaker,
that's wild.
that squeeze, dude.
Yeah, that's wild. I wondered if his jaw, like, I remember watching it and being like, he tapped fast and it wasn't under the chin. And
It was his front teeth.
yeah, but apparently Whitaker's had problems with that
Yeah, he has
before.
a plate. So he had broke his jaw and his front teeth. So he had like a plate on the backside of his jaw and his teeth were attached to that. And so when he squeezed it,
Popped it.
he broke the fucking plate off
Fuck.
and his forefront bottom teeth got smushed all the way back into his tongue.
Fighting, bro. Fighting is fucking
Yeah.
nuts.
That,
Fighting's
that I mean, it
nuts.
was quick. It was just like Jesus.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though. I mean, circumstances again, but the fight against Kamaru, it just makes you it Kamaru's stock like in that beating of Whitaker, Usman rose
Dude,
back
Usman's
up.
so good. Usman's so good. He's somebody I look at that, I find a similar style to, and he's just a winner, right?
Hmm.
And he'll go out and fight with anybody. Usman was a really good champion. I think he's somebody people are gonna look back on and we're gonna be like, damn, his reign was
Yeah.
solid. beat Gilbert Burns.
When Gilbert was
Yeah, dude.
Gilbert.
Yeah. He got rocked a couple, like he had trouble in those fights and still figured out how to win too.
Yeah.
So I think he's a champion we'll look back on. Izzy's a champion that I think a lot of people just don't understand how good he is and how good he still is and was. Um, but yeah, I think
Poet time, dude. That just how good he has to be.
yeah,
I mean,
he's amazing for sure. I think he has a very similar like Bo Nickel, right? They picked the right fights for him,
yep.
gave him somebody. Now he's actually becoming a fairly well-rounded fighter. I think the 205 the line came out for that and Poton's like a huge underdog, which
Really.
I'm interested in. I think I wouldn't pick Poton against anybody because there's always the threat that he can knock you out
Hmm.
cold, which is sick. That's like the over like everybody loves that like you just talked about Ilya is like we get to the fifth round and you're knocking out Izzy. Izzy had that fight won. It was in the bag.
Hmm.
In the bag. Third round, knocked out.
I mean, when he hit Strickland and Sean just like dropped. I mean, that's somebody that's got a badass chin. And it was just like one fucking, I think he just hit him with the left hand and just like
Yeah,
crumbled.
that hook. Yeah, dude. Sean Styles terrible for him.
Yeah.
Right? It's Styles make fights, dude. Sean Styles was perfect for Izzy.
Hmm.
Right? Just discipline and Izzy's like, very loose. And Sean Styles just like, I'm gonna be forward, I'm gonna be disciplined, efficient. He fights efficient for himself,
Hmm.
right? He jab, teep, jab, teep, jab, teep.
Oh, the pressure that
Um,
he puts on people is just
mhm.
unreal.
Yeah, and I think, if he fought somebody like Nickel, it wouldn't go his way. Which is crazy because I just brought up a grappler, right? But I also think Poton's like the worst matchup for him. So
Yeah.
like there's like but I also think like Izzy versus Bo Nickel, ooh, not the best fight for Bo Nickel, right?
Hmm.
But I think Izzy versus Poton, I think or yeah, I think Bo Nickel versus Poton. Like I think Bo Nickel would beat Poton.
It's interesting though, because like I think Bo's got room to grow, but DDP is kind of a version
Dude, DDP is an
of Bo
outlier.
Nickel. Bo Nickel.
DDP is an outlier because I don't understand how he's good. I just genuinely don't get it. And he's one of those people that like when we were talking about this fake MMA combine,
Yes.
dude's scoring low. He's scoring real low on all these categories, right? He breaks all the rules in terms of technique and then goes out and just beats some of the best fighters. And I still don't understand.
Guy's a
I
dog, and
will,
he's so corny.
yeah,
And
he's so
it's
corny
unfair to
and
say that because
all of
that's
it,
like the cultural thing. Like it's the
bro.
South African coming out, but it's just like just quit, please stop. Like you're
Yeah,
not helping your cause right now.
respectfully, DDP, I will root against you every time you fight, and I will bet against you every time you fight, and you're gonna keep proving me wrong, and I'm gonna hate it.
Yeah,
But fuck, it's so frustrating.
absolutely.
He's like him and Bilal are like the two most frustrating champs ever. I'm just
Uh-huh.
like, fuck, we're in a weird stage,
Yeah.
right? Marab's champ, Bilal, DDP, like not the best. Mark Poton don't speak English. Ilya's like this Conor McGregor Spain thing. Like
Hmm.
Ilya's in a weird space. Like we have some odd champions right
And
now.
then you've got the whole fucking mix up where John's fighting Stipe, and you've got Aspinall that's sitting on the outside,
Aspinall's the
and then
best.
you've got Francis over in
Yeah,
PFL, and
PFL
everybody's like, no, but Francis is the best heavyweight. With all due respect, I'm sorry. I think John Jones wins that fight 9 out of 10
against
times.
Francis.
Yes,
He kills Francis. The
nine
only
out of ten
person that could beat
times.
John Jones is Tom Aspinall, but John won't fight Tom Aspinall because why would he?
Do
Why
you,
would
do
you
you think
fight
do you
Tom
think that he
Aspinall?
does if he beats Stipe? Do
No,
you think he
I think he
retires?
retires. If I were him, I would retire. Maybe try to go fight Francis. Maybe make a comeback and fight Francis, make a bajillion dollars. But it makes no sense, right? Let's like Floyd Mayweather. When did he fight Canelo? He fought Canelo young in his career.
Yeah,
Mayweather did not fight Canelo right now,
yeah.
right? That's a very similar thing. Like if Floyd Mayweather fought Canelo right now, he'd get killed, right? So John Jones is not fighting Tom Aspinall right now. He could have fought him when he was taking a break and probably beat him before he got good. But I don't think it's a smart fight for John. But John's a gamer.
That's what I'm thinking now. Like,
John's a
is the
gamer. He might
mentality
be
to kind
about
of
it.
what we were saying, like the wild
He's
boy in him?
older. He's older, bro. I think he's gonna make a good bag off this Stipe fight. Um, he might end up doing it. Isn't the Stipe fight in New York?
Yeah, it's MSG, isn't it?
Yeah, taxes. He might not make like as much as you would think on this fight, and then he might he I they're not getting Francis, but he might do it. I just don't see it. I don't. I think John retires on top.
Do you think there's a world where Stipe actually beats John?
Yeah, I mean,
I know
there's a
you're an
world
Ohio
where it's
guy.
possible for sure, dude. Stipe
I haven't seen a whole lot about what he's
Stipe
doing.
is another dude that everybody bet against forever, and then just like,
He figures out a way.
yeah, he's a winner.
Just
Winners win.
figures out a way.
Yeah, I could see it possibly. But I think we go skill for skill. John's a better fighter.
Hmm.
So, unless he slips on a banana peel of a right hand, I think he wins. But Stipe, like, look at common opponents. Stipe and DC.
Hmm.
John had a little bit of trouble with DC, but it could be a style matchup.
Hmm.
I don't know. I think John's gonna win. It's weird. It's weird because they're older. They haven't fought. They haven't been super consistent. I don't know what version of who's gonna come out.
I think
Um,
John retires after the fight, but I think
I
we'll
hope
see
so.
John fight again in the UFC.
Yeah, I
I
can see
think
that.
you see him retire and take another year and a half, improve his skills, build up for one more big, and maybe not come back, but almost like retire, knowing that if I retire, I retired on
On top.
a high note, but I always have the ability to come back if it's the right situation to make a boatload of money and
Yeah,
preserve my legacy.
I'm a big fan of retiring on top. Like, I think that's how you do it. I think the goal is to be the best fighter ever, right? For like we look at Khabib, we look at John, right? I think like Khabib, obviously, in my opinion, could have gone longer. But like for what? What to lose?
Yeah.
Why? Like just out of respect, like to lose? Like, dude, he
I
made he
respect that
made his he made his
he did it
money. He did what he wanted to do, especially him. Like his thing was like
with
for his
his
dad,
dad. Yeah,
right?
makes sense.
For John goes out and he beats Stipe. You look at his body of work, he's the best fighter of all time, right? Retire. Why?
GSP
You
style.
want me to stick around to go fight this young buck? Like to lose? You guys literally want me to stick around to lose? Like, yeah, I could fight until I'm 50 and be like Tony Ferguson. And like have this career where everybody's kind of like forgets, or BJ Penn, where everybody forgets how great you were. I think John should go out, beat Stipe, and retire, and not fight again, and go do whatever he wants to do. Like I don't find the appeal or the honor and like dying.
The only thing better than that would be is if that happens and they also remove the Matt Hamill loss,
That'd be sick.
because that's horseshit.
They should put it as a no contest, in
He's an
my
undefeated
opinion. But
fighter.
like, you don't get your record
Yeah,
erased when laws change. That's not like that's not how it works.
yeah,
But yeah, that's a BS thing. I'm super excited about that rule.
yeah. Last night
12 to
was the first
6.
night that I don't think I saw
It's
anything, but
dependent on the state. So PA has said, because we asked, 12 to 6s are not legal yet in PA. So you will not be seeing them in PA, I believe. Um it's a state by state, commission by commission thing.
mhm.
But some of the rules are um they're exciting, man. I like that's one I really am excited for. We've been working on it since we heard about it. Um Especially on top and standing. I think the 12 to 6 is a very, very good technique.
Mhm.
The like hand on the mat thing, I think that's pretty cool too.
Mhm.
Um,
I like that more than the 12 to 6. I feel like that comes into play a lot more.
I
12 to 6 elbows are a great thing to open up additional weapons, but how many times have you seen a guy who's getting ready to get kneed in the face and he puts his hand down? Like to me,
Yeah, for sure.
that
I think
changes
it
the fight more than not having the ability to throw a certain type of strike.
Yeah, like I don't know. The 12 to 6 is something like in my last fight, like the dude was like going between turtle and I was landing these like elbows that I was like, do I even throw it? It's on his frame. So like
Yeah.
what's the point? It's just gonna fucking hurt me. So it's like boom, like if I would have just been able to I think 12 to 6s have a lot of play. Um but I get definitely think that the knee thing's gonna be more. I think we're gonna see it sooner.
Yeah.
I think once people actually get good at 12 to 6 elbows and realize how efficient they are for breaking through guards
Mm.
in about a year, when people start training them, have consistently done it for a long time, long term, they're going to be
And there'll be
huge.
some people who are really really good at it.
Yeah, like me,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be very good at it. I plan on utilizing that a
Fucking
little
some
bit.
people up.
Yeah. I love the elbows and shit like that. I'm really excited to just get better, man. I'm so excited to get better. Like I can't wait to like watch a fight. I don't know if I'll ever watch a fight and be completely satisfied, but I can't wait to watch my next fight. Like I can't wait for the week after my next fight where I can watch it and be like, yeah, did that.
I made the
I
improvements.
made the improvements. That's what I'm excited about. And that's something like as I've progressed in my career, I look forward to more. It
Mm.
used to be like the week after fight, like eating like a badass and drinking a little bit and have fun. Now I'm like, I just want to like get better. And I took this week off, didn't train. I did eat like a fat ass. And I just kind of like gave myself some time to heal. Had some injuries. Um, but man, I'm antsy to get back in. I'm very antsy to get back
I was gonna
in.
say you look like you weigh about my weight right now.
Feel like I weigh about your weight. Won't be stepping on the scale. But I'm very, very excited to train. Like to get back in, get with my coaches, become the best fighter possible. Right? Me from now until the next time I fight, that's my only goal. I don't care who I'm fighting. That's my only goal. Become the best fighter possible.
You're doing it, man.
Yep.